Hi, founder fans. Jason here, and today's founder is John Lewis Gervais. Now, John Lewis Gervais was actually a German immigrant who came to the United States, or soon to be United States, when he was just 23 years old. He ends up settling in South Carolina, and over the next 2 decades, becomes very wealthy after starting a merchant firm. He trades in a variety of wares, makes a whole lot of money, and then the revolution starts to break out. And well, as a merchant, you can understand how John Lewis Gervais was not happy about many of the taxes and new policies being passed over in the United Kingdom, as it would be known in the future. So Great Britain passed these and Parliament passes these new taxes, new rules. Gervais is not happy, and he becomes an outspoken patriot. In fact, he's very early on chosen to go to the Second Continental Congress, and he sits there for a while, mostly dealing with foreign affairs. He's actually one of the people responsible for communicating with Benjamin Franklin and John Adams in Europe, and helped them, from the American point of view, negotiate loans that were extraordinarily important in paying for and financing the American Revolutionary War. Now, he does this for a good portion of the war. He also spends 6 years on the South Carolina Committee of Safety at the same time as he's a member of the Continental Congress. And the Committee of Safety, I'll remind you, is essentially in charge of overseeing the war effort, at least from that state's perspective. So he was one of the people running the South Carolina militia, which, as you know, saw a whole lot of action during the Revolutionary War. Now, as the war closes out, John Lewis Gervais, he recommends that they negotiate with the British to make sure when the treaty is signed that the forts that the British are now going to be evacuating are transferred over in a peaceful manner. As opposed to the British just leaving and the forts being empty and the Americans coming in and starting anew, instead they wanted to transfer very evenly the forts over to the Americans to make sure there wasn't much of a mess. Now, this would backfire to a degree because the British took a whole long time to leave. In fact, they were still in some of the forts about a decade later when John Jay would go to England and negotiate the Jay Treaty. Though they didn't know that at the time, so Jean Louis Gervais returns to South Carolina, where there's a new constitution passed, and the whole idea of starting this new state comes to order. And John Louis Gervais spends several years in the South Carolina State Senate, and that's where he makes his greatest contribution to the American founding. You see, there was talk about, hey, do we keep the capital on the coast, or since we're expanding to the interior and the frontier, hey, maybe we should have a capital that's more easy to get to than what it was already at. Maybe something more centralized. And this is not uncommon for the time. Many capitals moved at this time to be generous to the people on the frontier. The revolutionaries knew that they were moving to the frontier and that there would be more people further out. So this idea was not uncommon. For example, today Harrisburg is the capital of Pennsylvania, not Philadelphia, not Pittsburgh. Harrisburg. It's a much smaller city. Many people may not even know about it, but it's right in the middle. And this was the idea being passed around, and John Louis Gervais promoted this idea very, very hard. In fact, he helped pick out the location of where the new city should be, the new capital, and he helped name it. He decided to name it Columbia. The South Carolina State Senate agreed with him, and voila, South Carolina is now run from its capital in Columbia, South Carolina. Thank you to John Louis Gervais. I hope you learned a little bit today. If you did, make sure you hit like, and if you're new here, subscribe for more American Revolution and unsung founders all week long. And I'll be back with another founder for you tomorrow.